Well, but I mean, if we're looking statistically at 50%, like,
do you want me to say 40? Does that make you feel better? Like,
okay, so one of them, 1.25. I mean,
that's just my stance. I don't.
No, that's fine.
I think when men are alone, they do things that are not appropriate.
I know that. Sure,
a
that's
lot of times
sure.
relatives
And
do.
when they're together too.
I was gonna say
Hold on.
relatives do SA.
What's that?
I said a lot of times relatives do SA people, so you do have to
Sure.
factor.
That's the
But I
highest
just want to be clear.
percentage.
Yeah.
When you're raising, if you have 3 sons, when you're raising your 3 sons, you're going to be raising them and thinking of them as like future rapists. Like, that's your view of your sons.
No, because I know the things that I'm instilling in them. That doesn't go for the entire general population. They didn't have the same upbringing. They don't have the same family values. That's totally different. Everybody has a different experience.
So you'll be the statistical outlier then when it comes to your...
Sure.
Okay. All right. If that's your position. Here, what about wait, if we change this question to, instead of it being a man, like, do you think your position is sexist?
No.
No, it's not. If we were to change it to, instead of a man or a bear, it's a black person or a bear, and the person picks bear, are they racist?
No. You're saying as like a follow-up, or like just in general? That's the first question.
Yeah, so if we change the question to just be, would you rather cross paths with a black person or a bear in the forest, and they pick bear instead of black person, would that be racist? No?
Depends
It would
who's
be racist.
picking it. It depends.
I think it would be racist.
I'm not gonna lie. If a white person said it, it's racist.
Huh?
But
Is
Like
there
a
a
black woman
50%
would
chance it
make
would
me
be a
feel safe.
woman?
yeah.
No,
That's what I'm
let's
saying.
say a black man. So if it was a black man or a bear, what would you choose?
It's still a
Still the
man.
bear,
A black
he's
man is
still a
still a
man.
man.
So you think she's racist?
No, because like she just said it before. I don't know if y'all heard it, but she said like if it was a black woman there, then she would still feel safe. So I think it's more of a sexist thing, not a racism thing.
How about if a white man picks the bear?
Yeah, that's racist.
Oh. Oh.
Why?
Wait, hold on.
Unless you said
But-
like what she just said.
So here's the scenario. You've had bad experiences with men. 100% believe it. I'm sure most of you women here have had bad experiences, maybe awful, terrible experiences. Let's say though, a white person has had 1, 2, and 3 terrible experiences with a or multiple black people, and
Well,
then they
that's different.
see on the news reports about these crimes that black people, I'm not saying this is the case, but just this is the hypothetical scenario, that these black people are committing. They're part of online groups. They have the TikTok algorithm, which they watch all these videos on TikTok, and the algorithm keeps feeding them stories about black on white crime. Because of their safety concerns, they're scared of black people. They believe all black people have the potential or capacity for violence or assault of some kind. Would this person be racist?
I think
To the point that instead of coming across a black person in the woods, they come across a giant, wild animal.
Well, I think honestly, they're being fed a certain image of black people, or if they had the experience, like how you said, they went like one right after the other, and they had bad
They
experience
just
with
had
black
2,
people.
let's say 2 or 3 bad
Like,
experiences.
I mean, that's their personal experience.
Are
and
they
stuff.
racist though?
If they think that every black person is gonna be like that just because
They
they're
think-
black,
Let's say it's
then yes,
50.
that's
They
being
think
racist.
50% of black people.
if they're saying like 50, I think 50% of black people might act like this because their experience is this, then it's not. I don't think it's racist.
You don't
I
think
think
it's racist?
I think they're looking at it like as a experience, like a personal view. They're not saying that like, for instance, if they met her and then they met me and they're like, oh, both you guys are, black girls or whatever, so how she acts might not be like how I act or vice versa.
People are individuals, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like,
Okay. So it's not racist. Is it? Do you think that would be racist, the scenario I provided? Me personally, I think that would be racist because the ultimate minority is the individual. Okay, that's going to fall on deaf ears. Never mind.
I agree
About what?
that it's racist, and I think my opinion's sexist, but I can say that with my chest.
Like, here,
that's
how
what I
about-
said
let
when
me-
he gave it the example of like just based off the person being black that you're scared, then okay,
How about this?
that's racist.
Let me, would you, if you guys could, Like, would you prefer to be like on the subway, like just with other women at night?
Like as opposed to other men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then, because of a white person's bad experiences with black people, they would prefer to just have like a white segregated subway. Would you guys?
That's actually
How is that not racist?
No, that is,
It's
you didn't
racist.
say it like
You
that though.
didn't
You
say it like
said
that.
you said that if they were in a forest by themselves, like they're alone by themselves, and they're actually genuinely like deathly scared of this black person, like, oh, this black person, if I'm here with them, they're gonna kill me, like they do on the news and stuff. Like they're genuinely scared of them the same way somebody is scared of the bear. That's different. But if they're like, oh, because you're black, I don't want to be in this thing with you because you're just a different skin color, that's being racist. Like you never came across
Okay.
nobody black that did anything wrong to you.
Final question on this. A white person wants to live in a white-only dormitory in college. Is that racist?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
yeah.
having the dormitory.
I was
is
gonna say I don't think
racist.
it's the white person wanting to be there because that's
Okay.
common. It's the fact that you have a dormitory just for white people. That's where it's
racist.
segregation. Like,
You got HBCUs here as well, didn't you?
but white people could go to
Yeah, they-
HBCUs.
Yeah, white people can.
But it's
Any race
technically
can go
like
to
a form
HB.
of sort
It-
of segregation, though, isn't it?
No,
And you do
actually,
get black-only
no, it's
dormitories in
not
the
a form
country.
of segregation because everyone is welcome if you apply to go there. The only difference is it's emphasizing on black excellence.
Do you think
It's
that if we had
emphasizing on
a,
the
would it be
history.
racist to have a historically white university where
If
we're
black people
emphasizing
could go
white?
there, no.
we're
Because that's
emphasi-
the thing.
How
White
do you
people
think? How
could
do you
go
think
there.
that mainstream society would see that if we had a historically white university?
We
that
do
that-
They're all
have those-
historically
those-
white
yeah,
No, hold on a
those-
second. But that's wait till I finish
What
my
is
sentence. Wait
Harvard?
till I finish my sentence, and then we can
Well, you
you
cut
can
off
jump
my
you can jump right
sentence,
in. You can jump right in. So, if it's a historically white university and they were celebrating white excellence, what do you think that society would think that that's a good thing?
That's not what Princeton and Harvard and those Ivy League schools do.
No.
That is what they do.
They do
It's
that.
Show me-
Very,
show me
it's
where it
very
says that.
hard
Energy
for minorities to
donated
get in there.
$100.
Just one sec.
Speaking for all men.
Yo, Big
In the
Sass,
woods
thank you, man.
Scenario, I know for a fact most all men would find a higher call to duty to get the woman out of the woods in this scenario. No man would think of essering you.
Well, let's be fair. There's
man.
some
I'm
men
glad
would,
that that's
like
the
some
men
men
you
would.
surround yourself
I mean,
with.
it's been like 10 years ago, men started asking for consent just because
Oh
of the
my
Me Too
God.
movement.
Oh my
Before that, it was like, bend over. Come on.
Also,
Even in the
college
90s.
Did you want the guy to ask you for consent today?
Yes, I would like
Oh,
to
yeah?
always be asked for consent. And yeah, of
Ah,
course.
So what do you want him to say? Can I touch you here? Can I touch you here? Can I
Not
take
like
you
that,
closer?
but it's the same with you. Would you like, well, maybe you would, a woman to come and like touch you all over
No,
without
but
you
if
knowing her?
you're in a situation where you're romantically involved with someone,
That's
no
different.
woman wants that. No woman wants some
Wait.
like dude to start saying, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" They want you.
No,
They want you to take.
She said
take the lead.
She was like, she hit the dude up to come and fuck her.
Yeah.
Is that not consent?
That is consent, but what I
So-
mean is, men haven't really taken in consideration women's anything. Like the whole bear thing, that's where it's coming from. It's like, oh, we rather because it's been so horrible. It's not because you guys have been so nice to us for like millions of years. It's been like pretty bad.
We've been nice to you guys for millions of years.
You have?
We have.
Is that
Millions.
why they passed that law where they can marry 9-year-old girls in Iraq now?
We're
Like,
not. We're not talking about those countries.
I
That's
mean,
that's a
it's
different
men.
culture.
That's a totally.
That's a different culture. We could have a different conversation.
So
about that.
That's
American
totally
men
different.
never like essayed anybody or raped
not-
anyone?
And they didn't even
we're
get the
not.
right to
Hold
vote
on. We're
for a
not
while.
like crime denialists here. Yes,
Feels
these.
like it.
Yes, this crime is an awful crime. It should be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
And there would be some dudes who would see you in that forest and want to, but I think a much smaller percentage.
So what's the percentage for you guys? Like 20%?
No, not even close. I think it would be much less than that.
I would go off
I
of
would.
whatever like the FBI and the DOJ statistics are, like the incidence rate.
Right.
That's what I would go off of. I don't have it in front of me, but it's not 50%. It's not 20%. It's not 30%.
I'll put it this way: if I had a little sister, I wouldn't advise her to go walking in the woods alone,
Right.
in case.
We do have to move it on to the next thing. We're gonna go to. We're not gonna hit all of these just for the sake of time, but starting. Okay, Natasha, you said So here's the statement, and then you're disagreeing with the statement. Women have equal rights to men in the United States. Natasha, Trinidad, Biani, you disagree. Callie, you disagree. And then I think that's it. Why don't we start with Callie and we work our way down to Natasha, just for a little change of pace. Why do you disagree?
The women.
So the statement is women have equal rights to men in the USA. You disagree.
Honestly, it doesn't feel like it. And I know this is unevolved, like the most evolved country, I guess, where women have it, you know, they're independent and they're making as much money or maybe more money than men. But it's such a uphill battle, like every time. And it's hard for me to explain it because anything I say is going to sound like complaining to you guys or, oh, poor little whatever. But it's truly perfect example. You know, I write comedy. I'm a writer, and I am always around guys. And to this day, I always have to prove myself, even though that's how I make money. That's how I make a living for years now. I always have to be like, oh yeah, comedy. Oh, you're funny. Like you always have to be like.
That's because women aren't funny, though.
Well, but I've been making more money than you with comedy, so please.
Well, you don't know how much money I make.
You look pretty broke.
Men have to prove themselves too. Whenever you're in some sort of creative endeavor, it's not. You think like men, it's just handed to them on the silver platter.
It's not handed, but there's the handshakes and the golf.
Tell us your best joke.
Camaraderie.
Comedians don't play golf.
The frat house. The rich ones do.
Tell us a good joke.
No, fuck you.
Make it funny. Tell us a good joke. You're a comedian.
Are you gonna pay me?
You're a comedian. Tell us a funny joke.
Are you gonna pay me?
So you women aren't funny.
Right.
I told you.
You're a man. Can you do something?
So you've faced difficulties in your comedy career, but the statement is women have equal rights to men in the United States. Is there anything else that why do you disagree besides that, the comedy stuff?
Also, because when a woman gives birth, she's expected to be back at work in like 6 weeks or 3 months or something. And the guy is.
This is not going to be a
well,
good
the guy
argument
has to
for you because
provide for his family or something.
The what?
The guy has to provide for his family.
Oh, of course, but then we're wrecked with it's giving birth to you means nothing? You think a robot could do it? Or maybe a man, you can hire a man to do it.
Just to move things along here a little bit.
Keep it in the fam.
I'm not sure this is the most compelling argument just because women get more maternity leave than men get paternity leave. So I don't think this is really a compelling argument when it comes to equal rights.
It doesn't feel equal. Even to the dollar, we don't make the same amount.
Okay, that's the wage gap. That's another thing, but sure. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that a woman has never been president in the United States, and then most of the CEOs are men.
Sure.
So I just think that it's not really an even playing field in that sense.
But so we can engage with those, but it's about equal rights. So a woman has an equal right to try to become the president, right?
Sure.
There's no law that says women can't be president, right?
Right.
Okay. And there's no law that prevents women from being CEOs. In fact, there are women CEOs, Yahoo, etc.
Right,
fact,
but I just think
Twitter has a female CEO.
Okay, so I take it back.
Okay.
I think we do have the same amount of rights.
Same amount of rights. Okay. What about you?
I was thinking more so like how she was saying, not like necessarily like CEOs or president or anything like that, but just like as in the right, and like how I guess you touched on it, like equal pay, things like that. But also like to kind of piggyback off of what she was saying about like her comedy career, things like that, like how you asked me earlier, like, hey, in the music industry, you might get people who be like, hey, I'll sleep with, you know, like things like that. Yeah. We don't, like, it is harder. And I think more so what she was saying, kind of again to piggyback off the working harder for the respect in the room. It's like when it's a male dominant field, it's different for women involved.
Who's the highest earning musical artist in 2024?
I don't know.
Taylor Swift.
Okay. I mean, what barriers do women have when it comes to...
I mean, also, too, if you're going to use Taylor Swift as an example, what about all the issues she had with her management and the money that they were taking from her and things like that? And it's a whole guy who did that and literally manipulated a lot of people, took money from a lot of people, stole from a lot of people. You know, it's like...
Poor Taylor Swift with her billions of dollars.
Just because she has billions.
I know what I'm actually very familiar with what you're talking about. Scooter Braun bought the master recordings to her back catalog. There was nothing illegal done. He legally bought them. Her dad was like on the board of directors for the recording company. He signed off on it. She knew what was happening. She could have bought them herself, or there could have been steps taken if she really didn't want him to buy it. But he He didn't steal it. There was a contract. I mean,
would just
he didn't
use
do
an
anything.
example. I don't really pay. Obviously, I don't know Taylor Swift like that because I didn't even know she was the highest.
Now, what she ended up doing,
making.
though, she ended up just making up like a whole bunch of bogus claims about the whole scenario, and pretty much ended up resulting in Scooter Braun getting death threats, being harassed. She's got like very vicious fans, and she totally like painted this picture that wasn't at all charitable to his position. So, I mean, who's the worst in that position? He legally bought her masters. If she didn't want that to happen, she could have prevented it. The record company, who her dad's part of, signed off on the deal.
But listen, you just said like her dad, the record company. Most people at the record companies are men too, so it's like.
I mean, Michael Jackson bought the masters for the Beatles. I mean, look, this is just something that happens in the recording industry.
And then he was killed when he tried to buy his masters from them. So.
I don't know what the deal is with that, but
yeah, a lot of times in these industries, though, men are just going to be better at a lot of these sorts of things. So there's going to be a gap naturally. Like even with entertainment, for example, women are only, especially when it comes to singers, for example, if they're not relying on their sexuality, then there's really not much of an avenue for them. There's not that many women who are just purely creative.
I kind of want to debate you on this, Jake.
Let's do it.
I mean, Taylor Swift, I don't think she's relying on her sexuality.
She is an outlier when it comes to this.
That's fair.
But generally speaking, women tend to rely on their sexuality, whereas I think men just have a broader spectrum of things that they can rely on in terms of like you've got some like
I feel like
gross ugly dudes who are like Pitbull, who's a successful recording artist.
No, and I agree. Sorry to like cut you off and stuff, but I agree with what you're saying. But I feel like that aspect comes from a lot of the women having to sleep with people in their career because they feel like they have to, or else they're not going to make it somewhere, and they're rather going to do something for someone they're sleeping with than someone who told them no.
So here, just to I guess get to the bottom of this, is like the casting couch in the entertainment industry, music industry, is that bad? Yeah, absolutely. Is there a lot of shady stuff going on? Absolutely. But like, it's not clear to me, because the statement is women have equal rights to men in the United States. You disagree. Casting couch is like it.
Sorry.
Yeah, the casting couch is kind of this idea of like a man who's like a producer in Hollywood. He'll give a woman a role if she sleeps with him.
What Harvey Weinstein did, basically.
Yeah, and so this is absolutely a phenomenon in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. Is it bad? Is it inappropriate? Absolutely. But I don't know if it's evidence of a discrepancy when it comes to rights.
That's why I said
between men and women.
After listening to them and like what you were saying and stuff, I was like, I kind of was just piggybacking off of that. But now that you made that clear and like the equal pay, and that's a whole different
It goes
topic.
to show that they still have to leverage their sexuality.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of the women who progress up through the hierarchy.
It's harder, especially when you don't like. For instance, you asked me how many times I said like coochie in my song. I said never, because that's not the image that I'm portraying. But
it happens in a lot of industries.
No, it do.
And even with comedy, for example, whenever you see women who are aspiring comedians, oftentimes they'll walk out and they'll try and act like a man. You know, they'll say, something about like something like vulgar. I saw one the other day where she just started burping into the microphone.
And
it's hard. It's very hard for women to capture a feminine essence whilst being funny.
Yeah.
Natasha, women have equal rights to men in the USA. You disagree. Why is that?
I was going to agree. I don't think I agree with the wording of that. I think treatment is different. There's discrepancy in treatment and in wage, but in actual legal rights in the US, I do think it's equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I can't really argue with you on the original statement then. If you think that there are, so that is your position though? You think there are 100% equal rights between men and women? Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next one then, perhaps this is more related.